Hello everyone. Um, if you see in my last video, dream number 1, I explained that I felt inspired to share the dreams once again that I've had regarding the church. So here we go. This is dream number 2. So I had a dream that when I was sleeping at night that I walked into a really large church. I don't know what church this one was. Really large. And I was walking down the aisle in this church, and it was really large, a lot of people. And I see at the front, as I'm walking in, excuse me, the stage, there was a big stage, and on the stage were curtains, and they were pulling back. Like, if you remember, if you're older like me, you remember the old curtains when you were in the theater, the movie theater, and the curtains would pull back on their own, and then the show would start, the movie would start. Well, that's what those curtains were, and being pulled back. And except it wasn't a movie. The preacher was on the stage and he was preaching, but the stage was a movie. Like, it looked exactly like a theater with the old curtains and all that. So I kept walking, and I went around the corner, and this church was so big it had also another section, maybe an overflow or something, I don't know. And I walked up there, and it was like that part of it, they were watching the same preacher. I just had to sort of turn, and then there was this other area, and there were so many people. And this one was like the chairs. The first aisle I walked down, they were pews like we see today in the church buildings. Well, this was the same church building, same preacher, he was preaching, but I go to sort of the overflow part right next to that. And I go up that aisle, and I see that the chairs are all sort of like amphitheater style. And that was chairs that are also in a movie, the old-fashioned movie theater. You know, you have to walk upstairs in between, and they're amphitheater style, all the way up to the top and sit down. So I walked up quite a bit up to the top and sat down. The place was packed, and the preacher was preaching, and the stage looked like a theater with the old-fashioned curtains that go back. You know, they used to go back on their own when the movies start. And here comes a guy, and younger people won't probably know this, but they used to be in places like this, or they were in baseball games. And a guy came, and he had a little box on by his chest area with a chain around his neck, holding this little box, and he, you know, had a little uniform on, and he was walking up where I was, up the amphitheater type seats, theater type seats. And he was yelling out while the preacher was preaching, hot dogs, popcorn, pop, you know, all that. He had them for sale in his little box that he was carrying. Popcorn, hot dogs. And this is what, when we were younger, like I said, only the older people will probably recognize this. But this is what we used to have. They would, and you could go when you were watching a show or whatever, and you would, the person would walk around with these things, and you would go buy pop off of them, or hot dog. About all they had was hot dogs, pretty much, popcorn, pop. And he was yelling that out, and he was going around trying to sell the hot dogs and stuff. So now I'm getting a little bit grieved, because this is supposed to be a church. So I come out of there and come down the amphitheater stairs while the service is still going on. It's still preaching and all that. I come back into the other area, and I'm walking down that aisle, And I turn and face to the preacher, who is still preaching. The place is packed with people. And I just start basically crying, and I could feel the emotion in the dream. You know, it was like almost like wailing. I was just so upset. It just came over me, you know, and I believe that's by the Holy Spirit. It just came over me, and I couldn't help myself in front of all these people. And in the aisle, I'm basically, I think I went to my knees. I'm having trouble remembering which dream it was. But I look right at the preacher in the middle of his preaching, and I kept yelling, "Don't you know this, ye are the temple? Don't you know you are the temple? Don't you know you are the temple?" 3 times. And he basically stopped preaching, and he chuckled, and he was basically kind of mocking. "Calm down, ma'am, calm down," and all this. And then he gestured to his ushered guys, or sort of like bouncers. And these big guys come up the middle of the aisle, and they picked me up under the arms and ushered me out. And I was so grieved in my spirit that this looked like a theater but it was a church. So as I'm coming out, my husband comes walking in the back door, and the ushers all backed off and let go of me, but I just went out the back door and left. That's dream number 2.